Roger G.Katan is a French-American architect, planner, sculptor, and activist born in Berguent, eastern Morocco, on January 5, 1931. Based in the United States in the early 1960s, he was an active founder of advocacy planning, participatory democracy applied to urban planning. As a kinetic artist, he collaborated and exhibited with rising figures of postmodern art. After 1975, Katan became involved in humanitarian relief and continued to encourage participatory practices and self-management. His method favors traditional, sustainable agriculture and construction. In 1999 he moved to Sauve, southern France, where he resumed work on kinetic sculpture and publications. Biography. After graduating from École Nationale Supérieure des Beaux-Arts in Paris, Katan won a scholarship to MIT in 1960, where he earned a master's degree in architecture and urban design. From 1961 to 1963, he worked for Louis Kahn in Philadelphia. From 1964 to 1975, he lived and worked in New York City. Based in East Harlem, he taught architecture and urban planning at Pratt Institute, City College of New York, and Pratt Graduate School of Tropical Architecture for 10 years, with 1 year spent at Vassar College, Poughkeepsie, NY, practicing and teaching advocacy planning. He created, with Pratt and City College graduate students, one of the first community design centers, offering free technical assistance to community organizations. He supported the civil rights movement and the students' claim for social responsibility. In 1964, Katan was already prescribing participation and putting his talent as an architect in the service of the poorest when Paul Davidoff tossed the phrase advocacy planning. Concurrently, Katan's publications and conferences helped spread the word throughout the United States, Europe, and beyond. He was invited by student organizations calling for social change. His talks included Yale, Harvard, MIT, Berkeley, Columbia, etc. Katan obtained American citizenship in 1968. From 1963 to 1975, Roger Katan was also involved in the art world. As a kinetic sculptor, he exchanged views and exhibited with artists such as Alan Kipro, Roy Lichtenstein, and Robert Smithson. The early 60s saw the emergence of pop art and the revival of the kinetic movement, initiated in Europe in the 1930s. Using scrap materials like egg cartons, Katan developed structures evoking abstract cities. Etanized by a resin bath, his materials captured and reflected natural and artificial light. His sculptures became models of imaginary cities and villages, some of which resemble the artist's birthplace in Morocco. From 1975 to 1999, he was actively involved in humanitarian relief and development as a consultant, mostly in Africa and Latin America, on behalf of the United Nations, the European Union, the World Bank, and the French Technical Cooperation. Faithful to his principles, the advocate planner kept privileging the interests of the people and encouraging self-management. His intervention programs included resettlement, microcredit, education, etc. In both agriculture and construction, Katan has always encouraged traditional methods as well as local, sustainable materials. Hired by the United Nations Development Programme, Katan monitored the creation of a local microcredit network in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, West Africa, in 1976 to 78. The network has now grown to become a national organization, REACUTSEAU National des Caisses Populaires du Burkina. He supervised a displacement program in Mali in 1978 and the creation of a National Construction Standards Institute in Bamako in 1979. After 1980, He was hired on short-term contracts by the European Union, the United Nations, and various NGOs for missions in Central and South America. Katan helped individuals restore the traditions through small self-managed productive projects. In 1980, he advised the Dutch Technical Cooperation in Colombia to rethink rural education, and in 1984 Katan built the first new rural school for the Colombian government. Over 15,000 rural schools based on this model now exist throughout Latin America. In 1981, photographs and plans of an adobe house designed by Katan for a displacement in Mali were shown at the Centre Pompidou in Paris. The Architectures Today exhibition was curated by G.Katan. Katan has published 2 books in French, De quoi mêlent les urbanistes, about advocacy planning, and Bâtir ensemble, a methodology for participatory practice. De quoi mêlent les urbanistes was translated into Italian. Construire Ensemble received a grant from the Graham Foundation in late 2009 for its English translation and update. Building Together was released in the U.S. by New Village Press in 2014, with 2 new chapters by Ronald Schiffman, founder of the Pratt Center for Community Development in 1963 and pioneer of advocacy planning. In 1999, Roger Katan moved to Sauve, southern France, where he helped his current wife Julie, who is a ceramic artist, and Aileen Crum, a comic strip artist, launch their art gallery, Galerie Vidulapri. The Katan has exhibited his early kinetic works together with his latest sculptures. His new works use state-of-the-art technology, including plastics, LED, and wireless devices. Education. Roger Katan attended primary school in Berguent, eastern Morocco, near the Algerian border, whose population was then about 800. 1943 to 1949, secondary education in Meknes and Oujda, Morocco. Aged 17, Katan won the Oujda High School logo competition and decided to study architecture. 1951 to 1953, École supérieure des beaux-arts d'Alger, trained for competitive entrance examinations. 1954 to 1957, École nationale supérieure des beaux-arts, Paris. Katan would travel in France and work for architects to pay for his studies and visit 2 or 3 European countries every year. 1959, licensed architect's degree, École nationale supérieure des beaux-arts, Paris. 1957 to 1960, military service in Paris during the war in Algeria. Late 1960, Grunsfeld Fellowship for a semester at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and a study travel in the United States. 1961 1962, master's degree in architecture and urban design from the MIT, supervised by Imre Hallasch and Lawrence B. Anderson. Katan also spent a semester traveling across the United States, studying works by Frank Lloyd Wright among other. Architect and advocate planner. Dor Ashton wrote in her cultural guidebook about New York. Some of the advocacy planners, such as Roger Katan, insist that the architect can function only if he is prepared to extend himself to activities which were previously considered beyond his realm of competence. Katan's attitude is a long way from the aristocratic distance of a Richardson, whose clients took his word for law and were always rich. Katan's clients of their community as a whole. They are mostly the very poor in the ghettos of Harlem, and they share with him the planner's task. By helping them to organize themselves and state the needs coherently, Katan is able to develop plans which make sense. He also recognizes the necessity of learning the intricacies of city bureaucracy, and how to deal with the political aspects of each citizen's existence. Over the years, he has lived in East Harlem for some 7 years. Katan has slowly developed a number of alternative plans for rehabilitation and rebuilding in his neighborhood. 1961 – First prize of the Boston Waterfront competition. This project was part of his master's degree at MIT. It was shown at the Faneuil Hall. It was originally inspired by Honfleur, Normandy, where each house overlooks the harbor. In the Boston project for 2,000 housing units, stepped terraces planted with greenery offered each family a view of the harbor. Families could choose the surface and develop it according to their income. 1962 to 1964, works for Louis Kahn in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, introduced by Professor Lawrence B. Anderson. Katan worked for Louis Kahn's studio for 2 years and taught architecture and planning at Pratt Institute once a week. Katan occasionally assisted Louis Kahn during his weekly graduate seminars at the University of Pennsylvania. 1964 to 1976, Director of Environmental Resource Associates, one of the first community design centers. Roger Katan left Philadelphia and moved to East Harlem, where he started working on the creation of a community center and housing project for senior citizens. He put his talent in the service of the poorest, got involved in the civil rights movement, the students' struggle for greater social responsibility, advocating the active participation of residents. 1964 to 1968, Brooklyn Bridge and East Harlem Triangle Gateways. Proposal for a system of gateways to connect Manhattan bridges and tunnels. Traffic flows were analyzed for better distribution. New pedestrian and leisure spaces were designed. Specific studies for Brooklyn Bridge and 3 bridges of the East Harlem Triangle were published in the form of 2 brochures, financed by the Kaplan Fund. Pink Millbank Renewal Project, a counter-proposal by residents against the city's project. Publication of a 20-page brochure presented to the City of New York. 116th Street Renewal Project, a study financed by the City of New York. Publication of a 40-page brochure presented to the City of New York. East Harlem Summer Festival, initiated in July 1969, it was held each year for more than 10 years. Funded by the New York City Council for the Arts, the festival was meant to enhance residents' participation through leisure activities and improve their living environment. Project for a multi-service center in East Harlem. After consultation with representatives of various associations, Katan was contracted by the City of New York for the creation of health, education, and leisure facilities, including offices combining social services. Coursey House, a neighborhood association, was funded by the City of New York to develop a community center and 150 units for senior citizens on 116th Street in East Harlem. Ward's Island Psychiatric Hospital Renewal Plan. Katan was contracted by the New York State Office of Mental Health to provide an alternative to a previously abandoned 1,000-bed expansion plan. His counter-proposal, supported by elected residents, recommended to decentralize Ward's Island Psychiatric Hospital and create small extensions in Harlem and East Harlem. Architecture and Planning Educator, 1964 to 1974, taught architecture and urban planning at Pratt Institute, City College of New York, and Pratt Graduate School of Tropical Architecture for 10 years. In East Harlem he created, with Pratt and City College graduate students, one of the first community design centers, offering free technical assistance to community organizations. 1968, 1969 as invited lecturer at Vassar College, Poughkeepsie, NY, in the Political Science Department. He offered both a practical and theoretical approach to advocacy planning. 1971 as invited lecturer at Hunter College, New York. Students were asked to carry out a comprehensive socio-economic and physical survey of East Harlem and Ward Island, supervised by community representatives. French Department of the Environment and Construction, 1976 to 1979, based in Aix-en-Provence between missions in Burkina Faso. Katan was consultant to the French Department of the Environment and Construction. Based on his own experience in the United States, he studied and developed a methodology for participatory practice. This study resulted in 2 volumes, De quoi mêlent les urbanists, about advocacy planning, and Bâtir ensemble, a methodology of participatory practice. Consultant in Africa and South America, 1976–78, United Nations Development Programme missions in Burkina Faso, West Africa. Katan carried out 3 4-month missions for UNDP to set up a local microcredit and savings bank. Originally devised as a self-management tool for the Sisson district in Ouagadougou, it has now become the REACUTSEAU National des Caisses Populaires du Burkina, a nationwide network. 1977 UNDP mission in Benin, West Africa, November 2–23, 1979–80. 2 UNDP missions in Mali, West Africa, from Feb. 1979 to March 1980. A 12-month mission to coordinate the displacement of 15 village communities during the construction of a power dam in Salingwe. It took Katan another 4-month mission in Mali to launch a National Construction Standards Institute in Bamako. Katan designed and built the UNDP headquarters in Salingwe using earth and local materials. It served as a model for the rehousing program. Photographs and plans were shown in Paris at the Architectures Today exhibition organized by Jean Dethier at Centre Pompidou in 1981. On this occasion, Katan lectured about earth architecture and his work in Mali, 1980–99, missions in South and Central America. Based in Colombia, Katan carried out short missions in Mexico and Chile for the European Union and the French Technical Cooperation, 1981. During a 3-month mission in Colombia for the Dutch Technical Cooperation, Katan studied the cause of demographic and economic disorders in villages located in 3 different areas of the Choco Department. On the Pacific Coast, the main cause was the absence of appropriate rural teaching. Schools were based on urban life conditions. Katan returned to Choco in 1984, invited by the Education Department, UNESCO, and CVC to set up a model school for the Pacific Coast, where rural teaching would help local development. 1982, Katan developed 3 projects with the French Technical Cooperation in Colombia from May 15 to July 15, 1982. He designed and built a private residence made of sustainable materials in the Andes, an hour's drive from Bogotá. 1983, Katan represented France in a project identification commission for the World Bank's Urban Development Program in Bogotá, Jan. 5–31, 1983–84. Katan performed various tasks for the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Technical Cooperation through the Agency for Cooperation and Development and the Interministerial Cooperation Program REXCOOP to provide technical assistance to the ICT, mounting a project for 3,600 self-built wooden houses in Tumaco. On the Pacific coast. Subsequently, he was in charge of organizing the initial phase with participating beneficiaries in the design, construction, and project management. In Feb-March, Katan launched 3 cooperatives with the same people for the French Technical Cooperation. 1984, hired by G.Katan assessed the social impact of popular housing projects in Cali and Cartagena, defining the type of training required to manage such projects in an urban context. 1985–86, with the mayor and municipality of Tumaco, he worked on the co-financing of 3 projects: a self-managed housing cooperative for 200 families in a semi-rural area, and cooperative hotel in Berguent, near Tumaco, hiring local people and using sustainable power, with its own local livestock, biogas digesters, vegetable garden, windmill, bungalows, cooperative restaurant, etc., and a multi-purpose cooperative union of oil palm growers. 1986, Katan set up the self-built cooperative hotel project in Tumaco, Berguent. He developed a collaborative conceptual plan and coordinated the construction with the support of the DC-based Into-American Foundation. 1987–89, he developed plans and supervised the construction of an international research center for clinical psychology in Cali, Colombia, using improved traditional materials. The project was financed by the Danielle Mitterrand Foundation. Concurrently, Katan designed and built an experimental house in Burkina and 2 private homes made of improved traditional materials in Cali. 1989–93, from September 1989 to June 1994, he was an advisor to a number of organizations for development, including CECAN and its technical school in Cali, where he developed and operated training workshops for unprivileged Cali youngsters aged 16 to 24. He also carried out a training project in construction and production of building materials with the same organization. 1989–93, Katan launched a small business manufacturing ceramic elements for construction in Burkina, Buenaventura on the Pacific coast. After only 6 months, this 2-man workshop produced 32,000 bricks and 20,000 tiles baked in a custom-made driftwood oven. Katan built 2 duplex bungalows in 1991–92 and 2 more in June 1993 using these materials. October 1991, Katan carried out an assessment mission for the European Community. The project planned 600 self-built houses in an urban area destroyed by the Popayan earthquake of 1987. Dec. 1991, he was hired by the EEC to carry out a mission to assess the possibility to develop small productive projects on the Pacific coast and evaluate the needs for technical assistance. Summer 1992, EEC's Small Productive Projects for the Pacific Coast. Katan trained 12 people to build and operate 5 brick and tile ovens.